What's going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about, and I mean a lot. So bear with me because it's going to be a long one, and you're not going to want to miss it. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So the market correction part 2 that we have been talking about for quite some time. I mean, I don't even know how long, probably the past 2 weeks or so. It's finally here. Literally yesterday, I posted this video. I said this pattern may cause the market correction. I went over a drop that's coming. I mean, the market correction round 2. I mean, whales are selling. I mean, Nvidia just signaled a market drop. I mean, the list goes on. While your favorite YouTubers have been screaming all-time highs, pretty much selling you a false dream, I have been bearish. And we're going to talk about why. Now, if you're new to the channel and your first assumption is that I'm a perma bear, I am not. I go where the money takes me. And right now, the money has been telling me that the market is going to drop. So, what were my confirmations? And if you're not new to the channel, you've been here for quite some time, you already know that one of the confirmations was the semiconductor ETFs. Right now, we're looking at SMH weekly time frame. For those of you who don't know what SMH is, it's a semiconductor ETF, and one of its number one holdings is Nvidia. And as you guys can see on the weekly time frame, we have a head and shoulders pattern here. We have a shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here, and then we have a trend here where we bounced here, we broke down, we broke back up, or we bounced back up, we rolled back above the trend. Bulls tried to keep us here, bears ended up winning in the end, and then we broke down once again. Our neckline is at around the $200 mark. If SMH gives up $200, we are going to head much lower. Brace for impact. So the head and shoulders pattern is not yet confirmed. Okay, it's not yet confirmed. So I will say that much. But I'm not going to bet against it. And the reason why I'm not going to bet against it is because these head and shoulder patterns are forming everywhere. And we're going to get into that. I mean, they're absolutely everywhere. So this was my first form of confirmation. Now, we look at another semiconductor ETF, which is SOXX. What do we see? Weekly time frame. Another head and shoulders pattern here. Let's zoom out a little bit where we have a shoulder here, another head here, and another shoulder forming here. We have our trend here where we bounced here, we broke down, we bounced back up, we retested the trend. Okay, we retested the trend and we rejected it. Our neckline is all the way down at the 190s in regards to SOXX. So, second form of confirmation that a market drop is coming. And we were talking about this when SOXX and SMH was all the way like up here. Keep in mind, this is the weekly time frame. So we've been talking about this for like a few weeks now. Okay. So our next form of confirmation, Nvidia. Nvidia. So we look at the daily time frame for Nvidia, and as you guys can see, what do we see? Once again, we have another head and shoulders pattern. Shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. Your neckline is all the way down at 95, 96, give or take. Okay. The trend, okay, the trend. We bounced here, we attempted to break down, and then we broke back in above the trend, and we pretty much consolidated here, and then we broke down once again. So we're breaking back below this trend here on Nvidia. Our neckline is at 95, 96. Now we look at the options chain for Nvidia. So we look at the options chain for Nvidia, and as you guys can see, the puts are flooding in massively. Okay. The puts are flooding in, people. Okay. So one thing we want to pay attention to is the $100 puts for September 13th. Has a 22 million premium. We have 95 puts coming in for September 13th. Um, and I believe, yeah, 4.28 million premium. We could scroll over so you guys can see the premiums, right? So big money is flying into these positions here. Your ask is at 45,850. Your bid is at 36,571. Your ask here for the 95 puts is at 23,991. Your bid is at 15,731. Your open interest for this particular play for the $100 puts is at 27K, and your volume is at 103K. It's probably changed by now, but still, okay, the volume is higher than the open interest, which tells you that whales are playing this. Big money is in this play. Your 95 puts 8,000 open interest, 44,000 volume. That tells you that whales are playing this. Okay, the big guys are playing this. And what do I tell you guys all the time? You want to trade with the institutions. You want to trade with big money. You do not want to trade against them. This is why you need an options chain. If you follow a YouTuber, you follow a Discord host, whatever the case may be, and they don't use an options chain, and ask them, do you use an options chain? And they tell you no, or they don't even know what it is, I highly recommend you get up out of there. Okay, that's just me. Maybe they're winning you tons of money. I don't know. But if you have an options chain, if you trade with an options chain, I guarantee you your win rate will increase dramatically. Do what you want with that information, okay? But as you guys can see, a lot of puts are coming in for Nvidia, okay? You have 115 calls for October 18th. Let's actually check that play out. Let's see how that is. You have a 10.3 million premium. The ask is at 18,300. Your bid is at 6,000. So pretty solid play, but I do think Nvidia is going to head much lower. I do expect bounces here and there, obviously, but I will say this much. In regards to a buying opportunity for Nvidia, I think the $90 range is a great buying opportunity or an opportunity to start playing Nvidia or buying Nvidia if you're interested in shares. Me personally, I don't put a lot of big tech in my portfolio in regards to shares, but the $50, $60 range is what I'm really looking at in regards to Nvidia. So if this neckline breaks, we are heading much lower. Now, if you think I'm crazy for saying $60, $50, whatever the case, and you think Nvidia just can't head that low because, you really believe Nvidia is just, I don't know, it just goes up and it can't stop going up, whatever the case may be, which at some point that was the case, right? As you guys can see, we go all the way down, we see a lot of gaps. Our first gap is all the way at around the $70 mark. You have another gap here at around the $67 mark, and then there's another gap somewhere. I can't really see it, but there's someone down here or somewhere down here at around the $50 mark. But if you don't believe me, let's measure the head and shoulders. Let's measure the projected move for the head and shoulders pattern. So what you do is you bring a measurement, whatever, trend, whatever, you bring it from the top of the head to the bottom of the right shoulder, and then you will drag it down to the neckline. Okay, so let's say Nvidia breaks below here. Let's say it just breaks below the neckline here. And so your measured projected move for this head and shoulders pattern would be all the way down to $45. Now, let's say Nvidia breaks maybe further along the line. Let's say it breaks this neckline further down the line. Okay, no matter where you put it, it's around the $50, $60 range. Okay, no matter where you put this. All right, so that is how I get my projected moves a lot of the times. There's another way I do it, but we're not going to get into that. But regardless, beautiful buying opportunity in regards to Nvidia at around the $50, $60 mark. I would be on the lookout for that. I definitely think it's possible to see that. When it happens, tough to say. But Nvidia, head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame. Let's look at the NQ. So, and we talked about this last video, right? Where the NQ was doing the exact same thing SMH was doing. We'll get back into that in a bit. We look at the weekly time frame for NQ, and what do we see? We see another head and shoulders pattern. Shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. You have your trend line here. You bounced here, you bounced here, you broke down, you broke back in, and you broke down once again. Exactly like the SMH semiconductor ETF. So if you are doubting that these are head and shoulders pattern, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure if this doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what else will. If this doesn't convince you, I don't know what else will. But again, you're looking at the same thing on SMH. What happened? You broke below this trend, you broke back above it, and you broke down again. Exactly like in Q. Exactly the same, guys. All right. So that was another form of confirmation. So where can we go from here in regards to the NQ? We're talking about, the head and shoulders pattern, but where can we potentially go? So the neckline for this head and shoulders pattern is all the way down at 17,500. And it's a ton of support down here. So I don't think we're going to immediately break below this. I mean, it's possible, but I really doubt that's going to happen. I do think we could potentially see some type of bounce from here. I don't think it's going to be like some all-time highs bounce or anything. But I do think we're going to bounce, maybe see, mid 18,000s, high 18,000s, and then potentially start looking towards a breakdown from there. So that is what I'm looking at in regards to NQ. Another head and shoulders pattern. We look at the ES. ES. Now, ES doesn't, I wouldn't consider this a head and shoulders pattern, but you are seeing a double top forming. Okay, you have a top here, another top here. And the reason why I'm not really considering this a head and shoulders pattern, it's okay if you do, I wouldn't blame you. There's no measured move. Okay, there's not enough room to measure the head from the shoulder. So there's not really much of a measured move. But one thing I want you guys to pay attention to here is, well, one, our neckline is at 5100. Me personally, I'm looking for a 4960, 4950 break for me to really be comfortable playing this. But when we're looking at these fair value gaps to the downside, there's a lot of them on the weekly time frame. And I mean, there's major ones that have not been mitigated. And if one thing I want you guys to know about fair value gaps is that they're more likely to fill than regular gaps. You have a fair value gap all the way down at the 4,500, and then you have another one all the way at the 4,300, 4,200 range, give or take. Okay. Another one, another semiconductor ETF, SOXX. I mean, clear as day. Okay. Another head and shoulders pattern. Your neckline is at the 190 range. Okay. 190. You bounced here, and then you broke down. You retested the trend. This is not the neckline. You retested the trend, and now you're heading back towards the neckline. All right. You have a shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. That's forming. All right. So if you're not convinced yet, I don't know what else to tell you. There's head and shoulders patterns everywhere, but we can go a little deeper, right? We look at the triple Qs. Same thing. Head and shoulders pattern. Shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. Your neckline is at the round the 420s range. But what's more important is that you have fair value gaps that need to be mitigated all the way as low as the 380s. Now, if you think that sounds crazy, what do we know about October? Well, September and October. We know that they are notoriously bearish. Notoriously bearish. So would it make sense for us to use these months and use the rate cut news, whatever the case may be, and take these opportunities to start mitigating these fair value gaps to the downside? I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. We look at the SPY. SPY. Now, the SPY isn't necessarily showing a head and shoulders pattern. If it is, feel free to let me know. But it's pretty much essentially showing the same thing that we're seeing on ES, where we have a top here, another top here, and then our neckline is all the way at around 510, 509, give or take. But then we go down to the daily time frame, and this was another form of confirmation that I used in regards to that we could potentially be looking at more downside. And I talked to you guys about this for quite some time. Well, we've been trading in this channel here for about a year now on the daily time frame. We bounced here, we bounced here, we consolidated, we broke down, we broke back in, and then we broke down again. So, I mean, the math, the math is very much mathing right now, and everything is pointing to more downside. It is very tough for me to be bullish when we're seeing all this. I don't know how anybody else will be bullish looking at all this. Okay. Or maybe they just don't want to see it. And a lot of YouTubers, a lot of traders just don't look at these higher time frames. I guarantee you, your favorite YouTuber does not talk about the weekly time frame. Guarantee it. Okay. I guarantee you, majority of you that watch whoever you watch do not talk about weekly and monthly time frames. Otherwise, they will see this drop coming. They will see if they saw this or at least had an eye for patterns, whatever the case may be, they would not be bullish. They would not be extremely bullish. They would not be screaming all time highs. Because why would you want to bet against this? Not only this, but you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it on semiconductor ETFs. You're seeing it on Nvidia. Why would you want to bet against something like this? Even if the head and shoulders pattern is not confirmed yet because the neckline is still intact, why would you want to bet against this? Why would you bet all time highs against this? So that's what I've been saying for quite some time. If we really wanted to head higher, why didn't we do it during Nvidia earnings? Why didn't we do it when Jerome Powell pretty much confirmed that we were going to get rate cuts on September 18th? I feel like those were the best opportunities for us to see all time highs, and the market just was not giving us that. I don't know. Do the math. All right. So now we look at the options chain for today. So let's look at the options chain for today, guys. September 6th. I mean, we made a killing in the Discord. I mean, it's insane. I don't even know how many trades we won. We won like 10 today, maybe 5, 10, something like that. I don't know. I lost track, but we went absolutely crazy. I set the Discord up for these put positions for quite some time. We've been in puts for about a month or two, I want to say. And man, today was such a bag. So congratulations to everybody in the Discord. But now, and what I love about our Discord is now everybody is willing to learn and just really loving options chain. And that's how powerful this stuff is. It's literally a cheat code, guys. Get you an options chain. Nvidia, 100 puts for September 13th. Okay, 22.1 million premium. We talked about this already. SPY, 540 puts. It's already below 540. So this is in the money, but this is for Monday. Expiration is Monday, 21.4 million premium. IWM 201 puts for October 18th. Congratulations to Discord members who played IWM. We were in like, I don't know, 3 different contracts. That thing was beautiful. We got in at like 220 and it's been plummeting ever since. SPY 535. Now this is really the one that got my attention right here. 535 puts for Monday. Okay, so let's scroll over and we see the premium is about 4.14 million, and then the ask is 25,564, and then our bid is 23,778. So this is most likely going to play out Monday. It's not guaranteed, but it has a high chance of playing out Monday. And what do we know about Mondays? We know that Mondays usually correlate with Fridays. What do I mean by that? I mean that usually Fridays, when Fridays are bearish, Mondays are bearish. When Fridays are bullish, Mondays are bullish. So we could be looking at more downside just based off this alone. Apple, 220 puts for September 13th, 14.9 million premium. Apple is, I think, is below 220, but we are currently in a play on Apple in the Discord. We're in 205 puts for October or either November 15th or October. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. It's one of those days. Regardless, we're up on this. We got in at around 223, 224. But I mean, feel free to screenshot this, guys. Feel free to screenshot this and really check out these contracts. The time decay is beautiful. Okay, the open interest versus volume is beautiful on a lot of these plays. We look at the Nvidia 100 puts all the way at the top here, and as you guys can see, the ask is 45,850. The bid is 36,571. But what really should catch your attention here is the open interest. The open interest versus the value. You have 27,000 open interest and you have volume of 103K. What I tell people all the time, anytime you look at a contract and the volume is way higher than open interest, that means that a whale is playing it. Okay? That means a institution is playing that contract. Even the SPY put right here, 5,000 open interest versus 97,000 value. I mean, you can't beat it. Okay, you just can't. So get you an options chain. Okay, that's my little rant. I'm gonna keep saying this, okay? Get an options chain. It's a literal cheat code, okay? So as you guys can see, my overall point in this is that there are a lot of puts flooding in. Tesla puts, okay? 200 puts for September 13th. Congratulations on this play as well. Okay, we're not in this one. We got into 210 puts earlier in the day. We got in at around 217, 216 on Tesla. Tesla is currently at like 210 after hours, but we're swinging this all the way into next week. The 205 puts all or 210 puts all the way into next week. I mean, we're in a lot of beautiful plays. I set us up for this day, for this week, for this month, and we are going to make a killing off this downside. So Discord link is in the description below. You don't want to miss out. But that's another form of confirmation. Now, let's get into the Mega 7. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna go over Nvidia. We already went over Nvidia. I mean, you guys get the idea. Meta. All right, so Meta. So Meta, we did 500 puts for Meta. We got in at around 515, and so yeah, we took profit at around 505. So congratulations to everybody for Meta. I think Meta is going to head to 450 from this point on. Well, my first target is 480, and then after that, we're looking at a move all the way to 450. Okay, and if you're wondering where I'm getting that price target from, we look right here, this fair value gap all the way down here. All right. Not only that, but this trend line right here. So this is around 456, 460 range. Okay. But you bounced here, you bounced here, you scroll back a little bit, you bounced here, you bounced here, you bounced here. And so that leads me to believe that we are heading towards the 450 target. There's nothing but, I mean, look how illiquid this area is. There's nothing but space and opportunity here. Okay. So Apple. Apple is at 220 after hours. I mean, it's Friday, so that doesn't necessarily matter at this point. But Apple, we are in 205 puts on Apple for October, I believe. Apple, I mean, it's heading all the way. It's going to head down here, in my opinion. I think a beautiful buying opportunity for Apple. Let's actually go to the weekly time frame here. I think the most beautiful buying opportunity, and I mentioned this in another video, is at 180, right where this fair value gap is. That's not mitigated. Apple is a beautiful buying opportunity at 180. The only thing that bothers me is there is another fair value gap all the way at 140s. I don't know what can cause that. kind of drop, but if it drops to 140, at that point, I think we're just looking at a market crash, considering the market will follow Apple. Okay. But that's what I'm looking at for Apple. I would really love a buying opportunity at 180. If we see 140s, then that is an absolute blessing, but I'm not going to count on that move happening. I think that's an insane move for Apple. But fair value gaps are more likely to fill than gaps. So definitely possible here. All right. So that's what I'm looking at for Apple. Tesla. I said this before. So Tesla looks diabolic for downside. Okay, absolutely diabolic. All right. So as you guys can see, we rejected here. This is the weekly time frame, by the way. We rejected here. We rejected here. Rejected here. So on and so forth. You guys get the idea. Bulls tried to break us out. They tried. Okay. Tesla went like insane. Okay. Bulls tried to break us out, and then we broke back in, and I think Tesla is just going to head lower at this point. All right. I see no reason why Tesla would want to go higher anymore at this point. It pretty much came up to this fair value gap. It tried to fill this gap right here. It failed. It's breaking down. You have a bearish engulfing candle. I think Tesla from this point on is going to head towards 194, 190s. You could be looking at a retest towards 217, 216 range. That could happen. We do have CPI, and the market is historically bullish heading into CPI data, but I don't think CPI data is going to come in good. I could be wrong there, but I think CPI data is going to cause the next huge drop. All right, but we'll see. Regardless, Tesla, I think, can head as low as about 170, 180s. There is a gap all the way at the 140s range, but we'll talk about that if we ever get close to that point. So I would pay attention to that. That was when they like put earnings out and left that gap open. So I do think Tesla is going to see that. If there was an opportunity for Tesla to see a gap fill, the month of September and October would be the perfect opportunity. We look at Microsoft. Microsoft is at $400 after hours. I think Microsoft is going to head towards 380, 385, 380. I mean, you guys see it here. We go to the weekly time frame, and we have a head and shoulders pattern on Microsoft. And our neckline is at around 380. You got a shoulder here, head here, another shoulder here. All right. So I think Microsoft is going to head lower. 380 is my target. The lowest Microsoft can go is probably mitigate this fair value gap all the way at the 350s range. All right. So that's what I am looking at in regards to the Mega 7. I think I went over all of them. Did I? I don't know. I can't remember. But regardless, I mean, everything is dropping. There's not much to talk about here. Everything is dropping. I think everything is going to continue to drop. Obviously, there's going to be some bounces along the way, so on and so forth. Nasdaq, I think, is going to head towards 17,500. If there was to be a bounce next week, a dead cat bounce, I would take it with a grain of salt. I wouldn't just go getting hype and thinking, oh, this is the bottom. We're going to head to the moon. I told you guys last video, any type of bounce we get, take with a grain of salt. If we do get a bounce, I do imagine that maybe we retest the 19,000s range and then head further down. Historically, again, the market is bullish heading into CPI data, so we may see some upside Tuesday and then maybe Wednesday. I think CPI is going to kick off the next potential drop. But that's really all I have for this video. I mean, we can look at the VIX too. I mean, the VIX looks absolutely diabolical. I told you guys if the VIX breaks back out this channel again. I mean, the first time I told you guys about this channel, I said if it breaks out this channel, VIX is going to go crazy. I didn't think it was going to go to 65. That was insane. But I did say it was going to go crazy, and look what happened. So for those who think you can't plot the VIX, I mean, look at it, clear as day. Rejected here, broke out of this channel, broke back in, and then look what happened here. I mean, this is for people who say you can't plot this thing. It broke out, retested, broke out again. And you have somewhat of a morning star pattern forming here. It's not yet confirmed, but it's looking like it. All right. But that's really all I have for this video, guys. Hopefully, you got something out of it. If you agree, disagree, comment your thoughts below. I mean, oh, the Discord. Okay, so the Discord, I mean, it is looking crazy in here. It is looking absolutely crazy. I mean, Tesla, we're in Tesla puts. This is at $600 profits right now. Um, we're in Tesla puts, 210 puts, currently in the money on those. Meta puts, we took profit on, made about $380, 50% off that. I closed a little bit early because I just wanted to really clear up my portfolio real quick and like really start collecting profit. Tesla 210 puts, that's what we're in. September 13th. I mean, you can see it here. You see IWM puts. So our IWM puts, 205 puts here. We got in at around 216, 217 for our IWM puts. I mean, the wins just keep coming, guys. We're in X calls for next year, so I'm not really thinking about that. We took a loss on Amazon. That's fine. That was like our only call that we were really in for the short term. Oh, here it is. The Apple put. So Apple puts for November 15th. We got in at around 4.05. We got in at like 223, 224. I think Apple is just going to head further down. We're currently in profit on that play as well. I mean, it just kept going, guys. So join the Discord if you want to see how I'm going to play this market next week. I mean, and congratulations to the people who just joined, like who joined Thursday and Friday. You just came into an absolute bag. So hopefully continue to keep that going. We took profit on our Carvana puts as well. We got in 110 puts for October at around, I want to say, let's actually check this out. Well, November, I'm sorry, November. We got in at around 4.60. We took profit at around 7.45. So I mean, it's been an absolute beautiful week for us. We hope to continue it next week, and I hope to provide value. Thank you for everybody who's joined. If you want to join, Discord link is in the description below. That's all I have for this video. It was a long one. I'm not doing this again. Um, and until the next video, traders, have a good one.